Hi, a very good evening to one and all. I bring you greetings of peace and health. My name is Lydia Ling. It is my pleasure to be your host for tonight. And today's topic is on overcoming inflammation, or in that sense, inflammation equals to pain in our definition. And today's session, I'm going to also share with you how you can actually prevent and better manage. And I hope for many of you, I hope that I will hear testimonies of you totally getting well from the unnecessary pain after this session when you take upon these practical tips and education that I'm going to provide for you and apply it in the comfort of your home. Now, before I start the session proper, let me just go into the disclaimer. The information presented here is for educational purpose only. This is not a prescription for self-diagnosis or self-medication. Please consult your physician regarding the application of any opinion and recommendation with respect to your symptoms or medical conditions. My name is Lydia Ling. For those of you who have just joined me, my area of training is in holistic nutrition. That means to say my area of work is to teach people how to use means without drugs as much as possible, and using food as the best medication, and of course to provide for them nutritional remedies or therapies that I hope that people can safely work on their health and in as much as possible avoid unnecessary drugs. Even for a while that some people may be on medication, but I hope that through New Life and our nutritional protocol and education, they will be able to better manage and learn how to get well from their medical conditions of all sorts and using the drugless way. All right, the definition of pain. The definition of pain is basically in the area of holistic nutrition. That is just the body's natural reaction to an injury or an infection. That means to say that when a pain comes, it comes in a form of the pain and then swelling, redness, and also when you touch the areas that is in pain, right, there tend to be some tenderness. So these are the symptoms and the definitions of what are pain, or in that sense, we would equate pain to inflammation. Now, what is inflammation? Inflammation is basically the body's defense mechanism. That means to say that if we recognize that the body is in pain, that means to say that it's giving us a warning sign that something is not quite right, and of course it should prompt us to do something about it, and it's the body wanting to fight the inflammation and to heal by itself. So that's a definition of inflammation. There are basically two types or groups of inflammation. One type is called the acute inflammation, where the pain actually happens in specific parts of the body. Say, for example, you cut something and you using a knife, and then accidentally you have a knife cut in the skin. So there is that bleeding, there's a pain that comes, or if there's an infection where it's affecting the throat, the lungs, or the tonsils, giving you some kind of a redness or very strep throat. So these are specific parts of the body giving you a warning sign or a symptom of acute inflammation. And this acute inflammation, basically there is a reason for it that happens in a very short term. That means to say it comes and then you will heal very quickly by itself. It is a very good indication of this short-term discomfort, is because the body is trying to make its attempt to heal itself. So for example, if you have a wound or a cut, you will realize that suddenly there is this bleeding and suddenly there is thickening of the skin in there, is where the blood flows go in there, intensify, and to bring in the oxygen to let the body self-heal and self-repair. So these are the definitions and the symptoms of acute inflammation. Then there is another type of inflammation, and that is called the chronic low-grade inflammation. And the sense of this low-grade inflammation, it's something more systemic. That means to say it spread from one organ or one part of the body, and it eventually can migrate to different parts of the body and become more widespread. So it can be something more long-term, and it's basically a sign of that the immune system is not doing well. So it can be a weakened immune system or the immune system that has gone disarray. Now, the systemic part of the low-grade inflammation usually happens and spread to the larger portions of the body. For example, somebody with a systemic pain or low-grade inflammation that is attacking the joint can develop into, say, arthritis or a gout kind of a condition. So these are the inflammations that is actually attacking the skeletal system. Then we also have digestive tract that's having inflammation, IBD, IBS, colitis, or ulcers in the colon. And then we have the arteries that can get very inflamed. Skin, for example, the eczema, hives, or even psoriasis can be a kind of a low-grade inflammation kind of condition. And then we also have the lymphatic system attacking the different parts of the body, including the lymph nodes, which is the major part of our own immune system, and that can develop into an autoimmune disease. Now, typically the chronic low-grade inflammation, that means to say that we call it a chronic or low-grade is because it's not like predominantly very, very painful, but you somehow sense that there's aches and pains here and there, and it's something that you really cannot pinpoint specifically, which is the spot that is giving the problem, but you just feel the pain all over the body. All right, so these are chronic systemic disease, which manifests in the form of low-grade inflammation. And typically such kind of chronic low-grade inflammation got to do with a prolonged exposure to faulty diet, lifestyle, and also environmental trigger factors. Right. So inflammation, we least suspect it. Sometimes we don't really think much about the pain that is on the bone, on the joint, or in one particular area. Let's say, for example, the gallbladder. Now, there come a point in time where if we're not able to deal with the root causes of this low-grade inflammation, they can actually be a stepping stone or a trigger towards many systemic chronic conditions like diabetes, colitis, infection, obesity, yeah, and then arthritis, joint pain, lung cancer, breast cancer, and even heart disease and eye disorder, and many types of diagnosed medical conditions. They are actually rooted in this word called inflammation. Systemic inflammation in its very advanced stage typically would migrate into this broad category of autoimmune diseases. In the recent weeks, right, I have done a few autoimmune diseases condition to present to you the root causes and how you can actually prevent them from happening or even better manage the conditions. But let me just run through very quickly. When autoimmune developed as a result of prolonged systemic inflammation that has not been dealt with at the root causes, they can migrate into something very serious, including the RA, rheumatoid arthritis, where the joints become very painful and red. Lupus, inflammatory bowel disease like IBD, all right, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, and Behçet's disease, these groups of inflammatory bowel diseases. Then we also have multiple sclerosis attacking the nerves, the muscles, the eyes. And then diabetes, particularly the type 1 that attacks the pancreas. And then we have the Guillain-Barré syndrome attacking the nerves and the muscles in the limbs, and psoriasis, which is a very deep-seated skin disease. All right, then Graves' and Hashimoto diseases attacking the thyroid. Then we have the myasthenia gravis, which is another kind of autoimmune disease that attacks the nerves and the muscles as well. Then we have the vasculitis, which is autoimmune disease of the blood vessels. So you can see that it becomes, systemic inflammation is not something that is very topical or localized. It typically can migrate into very widespread condition attacking the different parts of the body. You least suspect it, but the effects of chronic low-grade inflammation on the body eventually can develop into very clear indication or diagnosis, including heart diseases of all sorts, diabetes, lungs problem, bone problem, depression, anger and aggression, and also, of course, cancer, which is a representation of a complete breakdown of the body's own immune system. Now, I do know that the very convenient path that most people will take whenever there's a pain is to go for a prescribed medication from the doctor, or just go over the counter from the pharmacies to manage the pain. So I want to present to you, before you reach out to these anti-inflammatory or painkiller drugs, do think about their long-term side effect. And I hope that after today, right, I will be able to present to you a higher path and a better way to manage your pain when you're able to deal with the pain, the factors at the root causes, and learn how to use a drugless way to overcome all this unnecessary pain, I would say. Now, typically when somebody goes to the doctor for an anti-inflammatory medication, what most doctors will prescribe will be first, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, we call the NSAIDs, and then the typical generic names of these painkillers could be aspirin, naproxen, and then ibuprofen, all right, which are very commonly prescribed for anti-inflammatory purposes. Then, if these are not able to nip the pain, or the person is still feeling very uncomfortable, then the next higher stage of heavier dosage of anti-inflammatory drugs will be the steroids. Could be oral, could be topical, or even could be intravenous. And if not nipped at the bud, eventually there is this complete breakdown of the whole immune system. After a while, when somebody got to actually be dependent lifetime, all right, on immunosuppressant drugs. That means to say that the body doesn't know how to get well anymore, and therefore the quickest way, or the shortcut way, is just shut down the whole immune system and not allow the body to heal by itself. So these are the purposes of anti-inflammatory drugs. Then we talk about the painkillers, many of which can be easily available without prescription from the counter. Okay, so we have this paracetamol, codeine, and then we have the tramadol, and then in the very advanced stage of the pain where the person really cannot function without or having exhausted all the other lower grade kind of a painkiller, then of course morphine will be this very advanced stage of pain management, which I would say that in many cases the person become immobile, or for that matter, usually let's say for example cancer patients, right, in their end stage where all other painkillers don't work anymore, at the very end stage of managing the pain, just so to keep the person chemically alive. But yet providing, just for the purpose of providing this better quality of life, is to provide for the patients morphine. And when that actually happens, there could be very systemic damage to the organs, because all these painkillers typically have very, very severe side effects attacking the different organs, particularly the liver and the kidneys, if they have been on a prolonged period of painkillers. So we want to be very careful about not using painkiller unnecessarily, or for that matter, always explore a safer, higher path of management of your pain without the drugs first, all right, and keep this painkiller only as a very last resort. Now, the side effects of these medically prescribed drugs, while they may be very fast acting, but they have very severe side effects, including reductions of the white blood vessels. That means to say that that makes the person very, very weakened in their immune system, and therefore they become very susceptible to repeated kind of infections. So this represents the immune system that is beginning or has already broken down. And most of the drugs are very toxic, particularly affecting the liver and the kidneys, because they overburden and have to be excreted or be detoxified out of these elimination organs. And after a while, when these organs don't work anymore or cannot cope with the amount of toxicity, this is when organ damage can also happen. And there are very long-term side effects, not to see the person getting well, but just to manage the symptoms. So think about it, all right, before anyone reach out for the pain relief. Time does not permit me to run through one by one the side effects of conventional anti-inflammatory or painkillers drugs, all right, but you can take a picture of this, all right. Typically, when people or patients are prescribed with NSAIDs or steroids or immunosuppressant drugs. The whole purpose of that is not to get the person well, but it's just simply to control the symptoms, all right, and not dealing with the root causes of, in the first place, why these pains or inflammation actually happen. So this commonly seen side effect can be very, very severe, to a point where it can be a path of no return, really, in a physical sense. If a person perpetually have been dependent on these drugs, and eventually when these drugs don't work anymore, they have no other resources to go to, and that can even migrate into something very, very severe, more severe than before these conditions were actually diagnosed. Now, I want to present to you, there are two paths that people can take. And so far, I've talked about the conventional approach, where the focus is basically to suppress the symptoms or control the symptoms with prescribed drugs, like I mentioned just a while ago. And the whole characteristics of conventional treatment is this. It's basically practitioner driven. So I'm hoping that through our education on health and naturopathic nutritional healing information, that people know that they actually should be the best person to take charge of their own health, and they need to be more actively involved in scrutinizing the treatment that are provided for them and make a more well-informed decision, because the characteristics of conventional treatment is that typically the practitioners make the decision, and if the patients do not know they are right, or they do not know that there are other better options, then they may end up just going by that path, fast acting, but and at the same time going for short-term benefit, but in the long term, it can actually lead to a host of the other complications and side effects. All right, and then the other thing, on the other side of the screen, right, you are seeing something more, but I think it may not be the most convenient path. However, it is the best path in my opinion, because the focus is on removing the underlying causes, the trigger factors, and bringing them out of the body through an effective method of detoxification, and to allow the body's own immune system to overcome these condition, or even for the matter, the pain or the inflammation. So this is by and large what we are doing here in New Life, to provide the holistic nutritional life and the lifestyle approach to help people get well, truly dealing with the root causes of that condition, so that they don't have to be dependent on drugs in the long term. Of course, it takes more things in that sense, where it involves the dietary changes. It may involve a detoxification and rejuvenation program, including coffee and milk, which I will briefly touch on later tonight. All right, and then at the same time, it may also include optimal nutrition, where I know that sometimes, or in our modern day living, much as we know what are the whole food, what are the dietary intervention that we should to work on to overcome our conditions of all sorts, but really, realistically, sometimes we just don't have the time, or we don't have the practical means to do it. Then that's when some supplementation can be very viable and very practical to support any nutritional gaps. Then we also have to talk about the removal of the environmental toxins, lifestyle changes, and potentially supportive adjuvant modalities. That means to say, for example, we may be talking about heat therapy, where heat can actually promote more blood circulation, or to fight inflammation in somewhat effective way without the use of painkillers. So I will be talking a little bit about the heat pack therapy using castor oil, which is very natural and very, very effective as a method of pain relief. And the characteristics of a conventional treatment, or rather a conventional nutritional path, right? It's very much a patient-led. That means to say that for us, our role is just to educate you, and it's up to you to take on this information and practice it and apply it in the comfort of your home, all right? It may take longer time to work at the root causes, but I think it's worth it, because in the long term, it's going to be very safe, effective, and potentially giving you the long-term permanent recovery and remission. And we have witnessed so many successful testimonies of people getting well from not only from the pain or all the but also all the different kind of medical conditions over time. So I hope that this is a right place and a safe place for you to discover what you can do to take charge of your health, to work on your health restoration process without the use of drugs in as much as possible over time. Now, diet, it's very important part of management, prevention and restoration of any kind of diseases, including this pain or inflammation kind of condition. What actually causes the body to be in a very, very inflamed and therefore painful stage? A lot of time got to do with this whole list of foods that we should avoid. So even if somebody is not ready to do a detoxification or to take some very drastic steps towards this nutritional intervention, just by changing diet, you'll be amazed how significantly it can kickstart a better quality of life for you, and you feel better, and at the same time it should in some way start to reduce the level of discomfort of the pain that you are experiencing by avoiding this pro-inflammatory diet in the form of fried food, because these fried foods are typically loaded with partially or hydrogenated or rancid oil, where we deep fry our food, and worst still is that we repeatedly use the same pot of oil to continue to fry repeatedly, all right, the different kind of food that we are eating. So these are forming this oxidized cholesterol, which is a sure way of having the pain being intensified in different parts of the body. And many people have reported that the moment they start to take fried food, right, the joint, if they are having this arthritic pain in the joint or gout, the attack will come within as fast as half an hour. So that gives you a clue what to avoid in terms of the bad fats, right, which is the hydrogenated fats, or this partially or rancid kind of effects through deep frying our food. Margarine, vegetable shortening, omega-6 oil commercially manufactured, like corn oil, sunflower, peanut oil, soybean oils. All these are refined oil, which have to be avoided for people seeking health through the dietary path. Refined sugar is very, very acidic forming, and therefore very, very pro-inflammatory as well. And not only that, refined sugar can significantly reduce our immune system. It is said that by taking 1 or 2 tablespoonfuls of the sugar, right, it can just wipe out our immune system for as long as 4 to 8 hours. So that you can imagine, you know, sugar can be very, very pro-inflammatory, that can cause attack and the pain shortly after we ingest that. And then refined rice, which is in the form of white rice, white bread, as well, gluten, yeah, from all the wheat-based or genetically modified food loaded with gluten, processed food, pastry loaded with a lot of margarine or hydrogenated fats are very, very extremely pain-triggering. And red meat, particularly the beef, the pork, or the lamb, and that included. All right, so these are the diet that I would think that people who want to get well naturally or significantly start to see tremendous improvement is to avoid this pro-inflammatory diet. Then when we remove all this pro-inflammatory diet, then what do we do? The very first thing that we can actually opt for, which is in a form of freshly produced juices derived from the fresh produce, like fruits and vegetables. And I love juicing for the concept of juicing for health and healing. Nothing beats juicing, all right? Before you explore any other supplement, whole food or extract kind of supplement, first look into the possibility of you including juicing or rather fresh juices into your diet in as much as possible, even 1 or 2 glasses if you want to do a kickstart towards a healthier body and minimize your pain. So just drinking a lot of these fresh juices from a variety of fruits and vegetables, all right, will give you a lot of multivitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and a lot of these anti-inflammation and life enzymes. Are very, very supportive, not only for management or removing the pain, all right, but it is also very, very supportive for disease prevention of all sorts. right? So the way that we have been teaching people how to do juicing correctly is this. There are a lot of people getting the concept of juicing right, but unfortunately the method where they are using may not be at all optimum. We have been teaching people on this method of juicing through masticating kind of a method using the alpha juicer, where it just moves at a very slow speed in order to remove the agricultural chemicals and to keep the live enzymes intact. So this is a wonderful investment for any natural kitchen that I think I would encourage that you may want to relook into setting up your kitchen anytime ready for health and for healing purposes. So this is the alpha juicer that you may want to look into, and I am really glad to share with you that we do have a food team by Susie and also Lisa, who constantly run many healthy juicing and eating for health workshops. So do keep in touch with us. We will be keeping you posted of the next webinar or workshops that we'll be doing on teaching the aspects of juicing and eating for health, and plant-based eating as well, which is very, very supportive for health. Either you might want to go for a plant-based diet if you find that you want to effectively and as quickly as possible manage and overcome the pain, right? I think plant-based diet, or at least predominantly full of raw fruits and vegetables and with some cooked vegetables, will be very, very supportive and fast acting as well. All right, so this will be the, there's one book that you can see on your right hand side. If you only have time to read only one book on education, to educate you on juicing, I would definitely want to recommend that you pick up this book, available at New Life as well, by Dr. Norman Walker, the father of juicing. This book called The Fresh Vegetables and Fruit Juices. All right, so I love this book even up to these days, and it's always available close to me in my study room. Anytime when I want to concoct kind of a juicing recipe for different kind of health and healing purposes, I will always keep going back to this book for the recipes in there. So it's a very functional kind of a kitchen aid. And we talk so much about how to fight inflammation. The big word is, what are the diet? They are anti-inflammatory. So before we explore any regime or any detoxification program, first, you'll be amazed that just by changing your diet will significantly and very quickly settle and bring down the pain level through, for example, I'm going to present to you the 10 different types of dietary intervention that are very, very anti-inflammatory. First, in as much as possible, try to include a lot of dark green leafy vegetables. Take them raw in a salad form if you can, or if you find that you want to, being Asian, right, you want to enjoy some cooked vegetables, then I suggest that the cooking method, you might want to go towards a wet cooking method in a form of steam or soupy or stew. And if you want in the form of dry cooking method, you can use grill, you can use roast, but remove the charred part, which is very, very inflammatory as well. All right. So vegetables like kale, spinach, collard greens, they are, the darker the green colors are, the higher the antioxidants and anti-inflammatory flavonoids are in there. So do explore a lot of green vegetables in your diet. Potassium-rich food, predominantly, most of the fruits and vegetables are loaded with a lot of organic potassium that will provide for you a good balance of sodium and potassium for electrolyte balance. And potassium, why is it that we need to put it in the form of diet, fruits and vegetables first, as a first line of defense before we explore any kind of potassium supplements, is that potassium actually helps the body flush out the toxins. They are actually pro-inflammatory as well. And toxin buildup can actually be the cause of inflammation and swelling and pain as well. Broccoli, try to take a lot of this broccoli in a raw form, in salad form, or lightly cooked in a soup or steam as well. High in potassium, magnesium, very, very high in antioxidant and it actually helps to lower the oxidative stress and to fight the chronic inflammation. Number 4, this the top 10 this anti-inflammatory diet. I would always love taking pineapple. In fact, for people always having this gout attack on the joints in the form of gout or RA, rheumatoid arthritis, or OA, osteoarthritis, I find that when the attack comes, we just ask them to actually take some pineapple or juice, some pineapple juice, and the bromelain enzymes have got very, very powerful digestive functions that will be able to regulate the immune response and also to fight inflammation. So try it. All right. Now, number 5, omega-3 fatty acids in the form of some flaxseed oil, full of omega-3 fatty acids in the plant form. And if you are not into a vegetarian diet, then you might want to explore on normal days when you're not doing detoxification, or you choose to include some non-plant-based diet, then you might want to consider, or rather you can actually consider taking some deep cold water fish like salmon, which is full of omega-3 as well. Deep color food and fruits and vegetables, like what you see on the right hand side, they are very, very rich in antioxidants as well. For example, the dragon fruit, beetroot berries, all right, and blueberries, red berries, strawberries, and predominantly most of the fruits and vegetables are very, very high in antioxidant that can actually fight inflammation as well. Now, I want to talk about this king of antioxidant in the form of astaxanthin, which is 500 times stronger than vitamin C, 40 times stronger than beta carotene. So I will be presenting to you something that Dr. Lin has brought in, which is loaded with astaxanthin that is very, very powerful in antioxidant and anti-inflammatory kind of nutritional therapy benefits, all right? Food number 7 is to take some extra virgin coconut oil, which is very helpful to reduce inflammation in the cells. It actually works as an analgesic as well as anti-inflammatory kind of a nutritional or dietary intervention. Pure raw organic honey, unadulterated, will be very, very effective because they are full of polyphenols, carotenoids, antioxidants, and a host of vitamins, minerals, and trace and also enzymes as well. Very, very effective for people with irritable bowel syndrome. So we do encourage taking some pure raw honey in replacement of refined sugar, which is very pro-inflammatory, but not so for pure raw organic honey, which is actually full of antioxidant and anti-inflammatory. Food category number 9, foods that are found loaded with CoQ10, very essential for growth, healing, for energy as well, found in deep cold water fish and a lot of whole grains. But if you're taking whole grains, do join us for our next webinar on healthy plant-based eating, where we will be touching on the aspects of how to prepare your grains in a very digestible way through sprouting, all right? Now, number 10, another group of anti-inflammatory family kind of food will be the garlic and the onion family, because they are full of these organic sulfur compounds derived from garlic that actually decreases the inflammation. Quercetin, which is flavonoid found in onion, actually is very effective in reducing inflammation, particularly inflammation that is attacking the joints, like the arthritic condition or the gout condition. So whenever you have a gout attack or arthritic attack, right, do remember to up the intake of onion, either in raw form or some lightly cooked saute or in a juice form as well. All right. Food category number 11, turmeric. Yes, the curcumin active compounds in turmeric is one of the top healing food in the world. Very, very potent anti-inflammatory, powerful antioxidant, and it's a really very fast relief for any kind of inflammation or pain. Very, very supportive for patients with Alzheimer, arthritis, RA, rheumatoid arthritis, cancer, ulcerative colitis, colon, that means IBD, IBS, kind of colon disruptions. It's a powerful immune booster, reduce the LDL. That means it's very supportive for people with high cholesterol condition, and it also helps us to regulate our hormones. Group number 12, the ginger group of food, gingerose, the active compounds found in ginger is also another potent anti-inflammatory healing property food, and full of antioxidant. Is immediate or fast relief for sore, pain, swell, and also cramps, especially for ladies with menstrual cramp, right? Try rubbing some ginger or taking some ginger. It's a very, very effective pain relief. It is also very anti-stress. It has got this anti-stress benefits, supportive for lowering blood pressure, reduce the lungs congestion, helps in digestion, and is very supportive for heart care as well. So I've covered for you this. Whenever there is any pain or inflammation in your day-to-day diet or staple, you try as much as possible to include these groups of food. All right, so you might want to take a photo to summarize what I've covered, a picture of this list of anti-inflammatory diet that you want to make it as a staple in your day-to-day eating or drinking. Now, there's another picture that will tell you that when we go for this predominantly plant-based diet, full of vegetables, full of fruits and some herbs, they are very, very supportive for healing or restoration from pain and inflammation. So you might want to take a picture of these groups of plant-based diet as well. All right. Now, I have talked about the diet part. Now, let me just speak to you about this anti-inflammatory supplementation that New Life have made available to the public. Now, I realize that many of us who are already very familiar with the New Life Essential 6-packs, you will see that it's already inclusive of a lot of these anti-inflammatory healing properties in this whole supplement. But let me just run through with you one by one. First of all, we are not eating enough fruits and vegetables, and not having phytonutrients, not having enough enzymes, not having enough live food. So when we are eating a predominantly cooked or fried food, we become very pro-inflammatory. So one of the ways that we can actually look into whole food supplementation, where in sometimes or in many of our day-to-day lifestyle, we find that it may not be at all possible for us to include all the 12 different kind of healing food, the juices and the raw fruits and vegetables, right? So I think a very good compensation to fill that dietary gap is to reach out to this thing, a supplement called the Super Green Food, which is a synergized blend of 24 types of enzyme-rich and alive, nutrient-filled food collected from basic food chain. So this is like a whole food, multivitamin, minerals, enzymes, and antioxidant, and it basically is assembled in this sachet in vacuum pack to provide for the human body all the 50 to 55 types of known, identifiable, and unidentifiable kind of a nutritional intake to keep the body in its tip-top condition and strong, having the strong immunity. It contains the concentrated sources of vitamins, minerals, essential amino acids, phytochemicals, enzymes, coenzyme, antioxidant, and all the cell salts in plant-based form, chlorophyll, fibers, herbal extract, everything that we need in the form of plant, botanical extracts from all fresh and highly alkaline forming foods, example in one convenient sachet for modern day living, all right, and for management of a health to keep it as convenient as possible and yet practically functional and also viable and sustainable as a lifestyle. The benefits of Super Green Food will be increase the energy naturally, improve the mental acuity, strengthen the immune system. It has got herbs that helps to clean the colon, emulsify and metabolize fat. So it's very important for us to go into good fats and avoid the bad fats. And this Super Green Food helps us to break down the fats as well. And restore a healthy pH for a good immune system and to prevent the body from getting into a very acidic pro-disease condition. Supplies the essential phytonutrients and contains a lot of full spectrum antioxidants all in sachet form. So usually for for health maintenance, we will advocate taking about 1 or 2. And if you're on a detoxification or fasting mode, you can take about 4 or 5 a day. Now, the next category of whole food supplement intervention that is very, very fast acting in fighting inflammation is this whole food called spirulina, which is a complete food to ensure that we get all the nutrients that the human body needs. Now, spirulina is one of the ingredients in the super green food, but I would suggest that if you are in a very pro-inflammatory stage, you might want to include a lot more spirulina as supplementation, a whole food supplementation. All right, it's 65% of the protein in there, so it's very suitable for people who are avoiding meat eating or a vegetarian kind of a diet. So they will need more protein for in other form, like in the form of spirulina, to compensate for tissue building and muscle building. And I like the idea of taking spirulina as a main source of protein because it's very, very digestible, up to 95% compared to about less than 50% for animal meat. 25 times more beta carotene than carrots, a lot of vitamin E, richer in vitamin E than wheat germ, a lot of vitamin B12, B complex, 2 to 6 times more iron than beef liver. Can you imagine that? So you really don't need meat to stay healthy. In as much as possible, move towards a more predominantly or a fully plant-based diet for health and healing purposes. And that's what we have been advocating. It contains a lot of organic minerals like calcium, magnesium, potassium, very rich in gamma linoleic acid, richer than evening primrose. So it's very suitable for people who have this essential fatty acid need as well in the form of gamma linoleic acid. All right. Then the next category of supplementation is K-salt. We talk about the importance of potassium. The importance of potassium to the human cells is like the importance of calcium to the bones. So if we want our cells to operate at a very tip-top healthy stage, we have to make sure that we are not taking a lot of this sodium, especially inorganic sodium that comes in the form of our seasoning, like our refined salt or our ketchup. Our commercial seasoning, they are very, very loaded in sodium that can actually deplete the body of the reserves of potassium. So the human body will need 3 portions of potassium to 1 portion of sodium. So that tells you how depleted we are whenever we are eating out and eating fried food and eating all the processed food that cause our body to be too high in sodium, which is Na, in this chemistry name, and too low in potassium, and that causes us to be very, very pro-inflammatory as well. So including some K-salt in addition to a predominantly plant-based diet like juices, salad, fruits and vegetables, right, will be very, very supportive for health and healing, not only for pain management or to fight inflammation, but also for cancer prevention or the diseases of all sorts of kind of a prevention. K-salt that New Life has is a food derived. It's an organic kind of a potassium that helps to remove sodium in the cells that is causing the cells to be sick, or even for that matter becoming very pro-cancerous. All right, so do remember to take more potassium in your diet and minimize the unnecessary use of commercial seasoning in the form of inorganic form of sodium. Help us to rebuild our healthy tissues, remove water retention. Electrolyte balance is made possible by, in a modern day diet where we are eating too much salt, right, is to put in K-salt. To protect our kidney functions, to remove this salt-sensitive related kind of a phlegm, cold and cough, prevent stroke as a result of salt-related kind of a high blood pressure. So K-salt is very, very important to help us manage our and regulate our blood pressure. To help us promote weight loss as a result of removing water retention as a result of too much sodium intake in our day-to-day diet, and to help us strengthen our immune system, because the potassium, all right, it's basically the master of the mineral for the human cell. So that tells us how important K-salt or potassium is to the human body, and why we are so, this generation is so diseased in our modern day diet and eating habit of eating out and eating a lot of commercial foods. That's caused us to actually have a lot of higher need of having potassium as a whole food supplement in the form of K-Salt. So this New Life organic potassium supplement called K-Salt contains a host of food-derived, natural whole food-derived potassium gluconate, potassium acetate, monopotassium phosphate. So it's not an inorganic form, it's derived from natural whole food. So it's a very, very safe potassium, unlike a potassium chloride that can cause cardiac arrest, right? So potassium is a wonderful natural potassium replacement or supplement for our cellular health. Group number 4, the enzymes. Enzymes are very, very important, especially when we are eating a lot of fried food and cooked food. That's why we get into a very inflammatory stage. So putting this PA enzyme that New Life has, that is very effectively able to break up the allergens, to break up all the free radicals in the cells that's causing or triggering the pain. It's one very effective way of management of pain and inflammation. 100% plant-based, complete spectrum systemic enzymes. This is a full spectrum enzyme. You see a TM mark, which is a formula of Dr. Lin, not only able to help us to digest and break up all the category of food that we are taking, whether it is protein or carbo or sugar or milk sugar or all kinds of fats, right? This spectrum, wide spectrum systemic enzyme in the form of enzyme PA+ is able to effectively work in the whole medium of pH 2.5 to 10 from our stomach all the way to our small intestine and also the back end colon, right? The enzyme continue to work in breaking down the free radicals and to help us break up the allergens, and all these are combinations of reasons that is causing us a lot of pain and for that matter indigestion and allergies as well. So it's a plant-based formula, GMO free, very, very safe kind of enzymes. Enzymes are very, very important, especially when we consider why in our Asian culture of diet, predominantly from cooked food basically form a big part of our Asian diet, and where this lack of enzyme in our culture does give us an indication of a lot of diseases that's happening to us as a result of us eating too much cooked food and not enough raw fruits and vegetables. So that's why we get into a very pro-inflammatory stage as a result eating too much of the fried food or cooked food and not enough enzymes. So if your diet is not able to compensate for that and to have enough intake of enzyme, then you might want to consider the PA enzymes as a supplementation to quickly settle an inflammatory attack. So I like to the idea to think of this enzyme like, you know, the extinguisher that put off the fire almost immediately when an allergy attack comes or inflammation that comes as a result eating the wrong kind of food that is causing the pain or triggering the pain. Right? Break up antigens and allergens help us in our digestion, and it draws oxygens into the human cell for repair, for healing, and for detoxification as well, to promote circulation and including to improve the uptake of nutrients into our cellular health, produce energy for our cells, fight infections, wound healing, breaks down our fats, particularly also the bad cholesterol and triglycerides. It's very, very anti-cancer. The enzymes that we have, it's very recommended for cancer therapy as well, and for that purpose of breaking up the cancer protein coating. So enzyme is one important part of not only pain management, but disease management, including cancer tumors, to dissolve blood clots, for immune boosting, anti-aging, fights arthritis, and also for weight loss, so that the food gets better digested and that it will not leave left and then translate into fats or sugar, leading to weight gain. Category 5. Remember that New Life has a wonderful power antioxidant called astaxanthin in the form of Colasta, one of the highest concentration of astaxanthin content in this wonderful Cholestar whole food supplement. It contains not only the astaxanthin, which is very, very anti-inflammatory because it's the king of antioxidant. And at the same time, it has got vitamin C, E, B complex, grapeseed extract, green tea extract, tomato extracts, pine bark extracts, and mango seeds. So you see that if you are taking the New Life Way, even if you're not doing all the 10 or these supplements I'm going to mention, just by taking a few, that should more or less make your body in a very, very anti-inflammatory stage already. That's why we have got so many testimonies of people getting well just by doing a simple detoxification, or even eventually we hope that they can do a very therapeutic one, Dr. Lin Tan's 7 days detoxification and rejuvenation program. But even if they're not able to do a detoxification, then Cholestar in that sense is also very, very helpful, particularly in the form of people having the joint and the bone attack, like the diseases of gout, osteoarthritis, and rheumatoid arthritis. I think the Cholestar that is giving the repair from the collagen, for the collagen and repair, and also the cartilage repair, is able to, as quickly as possible, settle an inflammation that is attacking or causing the pain in the joints and the bones. All right. And then the Cholestar also contains a vitamin C and collagen, which has got a major role in collagen production and for maintenance of our tissue and joint care. It supports the absorption of collagen, which is one of the best antioxidants in preventing free radical damage in the skin, especially if the inflammation attacks the skin that comes in a form of, say, psoriasis or eczema. Then Cholestar kind of accelerate the skin healing as well, in addition to whatever I have mentioned, right? So these are the benefits of taking Cholestar. You can take about 1 sachet 1 or 2 times a day. If you find that you are fighting an inflammatory condition that is particularly attacking the skin or the joints, and this one will be very, very helpful, right? Promotes the collagen synthesis for skin healing, for anti-aging, to slow down our aging process, where prevent fine lines and wrinkles, promote skin elasticity, particularly helpful for eczema and psoriasis and hives, people with these skin diseases. It's very anti-aging because it helps to make our skin more firmer and more toned. Tissue healing and regeneration to heal the skin and the scars, helps in joint health, and repairing of the joint and the bones, and improve hair structure and nail quality. Then we have the flaxseed oil, which is a source of essential fatty acid, highest in the whole food category, much higher than fish oil. Flaxseed oil is preferred over fish oil in terms of the omega-3 intake because it contains 60% more than fish oil. Not only that, it contains lignin that's not predominantly found in fish oil, that is very, very healing, even cancer preventing as well. So the New Life flaxseed oil comes from New Zealand, air freight, and giving you the top quality all the way. So if you are receiving the New Life flaxseed oil, do remember to, as quickly as possible, keep in the fridge. And you have to keep it chilled all the time, and flaxseed oil cannot be cooked because it cannot withstand heat, light, and oxygen. So that tells you how pure and how effective this good fat is to settle inflammation. Right, flaxseed oil has got many, many benefits. I will just categorize them into a few major ones just for your condition. And because today we are talking about anti-inflammation, I will put this flaxseed oil is top of the list. Anti-inflammatory whole food intervention for joint care and prevention of joint pain and inflammation. It helps us to prevent bone loss and to boost the bone density. Very, very anti-inflammatory. I mentioned about the lignin. It actually helps to work on shrinking tumors, balance our hormones. It's a wonderful fertility food for the men and the women. Brain booster, anti-depression, superfood for the brain, all right? So that makes the people who are very foggy in their mind, forgetful, or having Alzheimer, dementia, and Parkinson. This is one of the superfood, very important for people with neurotransmitter disorder as well. And also it's energy giving food to help athlete performance. And it's a very, very good immune booster, hormone regulator kind of a food. So one of the major lack for our human body is actually essential fatty acids. So flaxseed oil is one of the major lack, which is why it is included in our essential six-pack. The next oil that I want to talk about that's very, very anti-inflammatory as well, it's extra virgin coconut oil. We classify extra virgin coconut oil as a disease-fighting medium chain fatty acid. So while I talk about the essential fatty acid omega-3, it does not kind of compensate or replace the need for extra virgin coconut oil. I think for health and healing purposes, when we look into good fats, that a human body will need about 15 to 20 at least, or 25% of good fat, right? Especially for certain kind of condition like fighting a joint pain or inflammation. Extra virgin coconut oil is one very, very healing food because it's a healthy source of fats. It's a plant-based saturated fats. Very important for us to understand that not all good fats are bad. We advocate not taking saturated fats in the form of animal fats or refined hydrogenated fats, but plant-based natural extra virgin coconut oil is one of the top healing food or in the fat category. So do remember to include extra virgin coconut oil. It can be cooked up to 180 degrees, either as a supplement with your food or as a cooking oil. And it does not circulate in the bloodstream like the other forms of a saturated fatty acid. Now, why is extra virgin coconut is so healing? The main property that we want to highlight about the healing benefits of extra virgin coconut oil is this thing called not only the medium chain fatty acid, right? The other one is the lauric acid, which is the kind of a lauric acid that is found naturally in the human milk. When mothers just give birth to their babies and they start to actually breastfeed, right? They are giving from the human breast milk the lauric acid together with all the nutrients needed, not only for survival, but for the immunity and the complete food for the newborn, for that matter, the young one. So lauric acid is very, very rich in extra virgin coconut oil, translated into monolaurine, and then from there, the benefits of taking extra virgin coconut oil is not only for good fats, for the brain, for the heart, it's able to help us fight the fungal, bacteria, and as well as virus. And coconut oil is one oil that we use not only for treatment or flushing of the parasite worms, but also to prevent the worms from infesting the human body, right? So extra virgin coconut oil is very, very healing, good fats. The properties are found in the mother's milk for the young. It's a natural antibiotic, boosts the immune system against bacteria, fungus, germs, parasite, worms, and yeast infection, right, which is another candidiasis is another kind of fungal, severe fungal infections. And it is also a protection to fight for the immune system to fight viruses such as herpes, influenza, hepatitis C, and HIV. So it's an amazing healing food. So do remember to include extra virgin coconut oil into your staple or your day-to-day diet. So these are the whole glossary of the benefits of taking extra virgin coconut oil. It helps us to improve our high cholesterol and reduce our bad cholesterol. So that gives you a clue. It's not only good for heart, it's also good for people with high cholesterol and they want to manage cholesterol naturally. One of the things that they should consider is to take extra virgin coconut oil. It's a brain superfood. So it's amazing healing food for neurotransmitter diseases or degenerative diseases like Parkinson, Alzheimer, and dementia. It's called the brain superfood, heart food, anti-inflammatory kind of healing property. All right, sorry for the spelling mistakes. Help to relieve gout, arthritic pain, stabilizes and lower the blood sugar, immune booster, anti-allergy for skin. Well, you know, this extra virgin coconut oil is the oil for weight loss or weight management because it helps us to actually improve metabolic rate for fat burning capacity. Kidney health, growth, and development. So it's very suitable for even the young babies and young children growing up needing a lot of this medium chain essential fatty acid. We talk about the garlic and the onion family. If you find that you are, for some reason, not able to take enough garlic and onion, you might want to consider the New Life Garlic and Parsley Capsule, which is a natural blood thinner and cleanser, antioxidant, immune booster, antibiotic, antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, anti-parasitic to kill worms as well. And it's very, very anti-cancer, particularly stomach cancer and colon cancer. It is said that 85% of the stomach cancer in the world happen because of H. pylori, which is a kind of a bacteria. And Manuka honey and garlic are just a perfect remedy for fighting H. pylori. So we have got many people who have gotten well just by this simple remedy, fighting, you know, or overcoming stomach troubles. The next one is pure raw organic honey. We talk about not taking sugar, which is refined. So in replacement of refined sugar, which is very acidic and immune depleting, do go for the New Life pure raw organic honey, full-bodied, 165 types of vitamins, minerals, enzyme, coenzyme, cofactors, everything intact, does not go through heat processing. So it's one of the very alkaline forming food as a good replacement, not only for pleasure, but also to replace our day-to-day sugar. CoQ10 is also part of the, I mentioned about the food in CoQ10, like say with deep cold water fish or even for that matter, whole grains. If you're not eating enough of this whole food, then CoQ10 will be one good dietary gap to fill for powerful antioxidant for cellular oxygenation, healing, growth, and energy production. It strengthens the heart muscle and is very, very anti-inflammatory as well because it draws oxygen to the human cells and to fight the inflammation. And for that matter, it is also very, very anti-aging. So these are the groups of supplementation that you might want to consider. The next one is also powerful antioxidant, New Life Vitamin C Complex, which is one of my favorite because it's not just a basic C. It's a complex that contains mega potency of bioflavonoids. Sustained release, I like the idea of taking the C complex because vitamin C oxidizes very fast and use up, dissolve very fast in the human body. So by taking a vitamin C complex, you are protecting your body for up to 9 to 10 hours. So that's the benefit of taking a sustained release vitamin C complex as a very powerful antioxidant. When we talk about antioxidant or anti-inflammatory or anything that can fight free radicals, that means to say that they can also fight the pain and inflammation. And vitamin C is one very, very natural pain relief, which towards the end of the session, I'll be giving you some tips or formula to have you consider so that whatever pain that you are having, right, you might want to consider using this as a replacement before you reach out to any prescribed painkiller, because they are natural remedy that can actually help you manage your pain very, very effectively as well. So the next thing I want to share with you is this external pain relief, topical management, especially for people with a very severe inflammation that come in the form of frozen shoulder, gout pain on the joints, menstrual pain in the abdominal area, tumor pain on different parts of the organs, or any lymphatic drainage, congestion, kind of numbness and pain. So castor oil is called the master of detoxification and pain relief. In its composition is fatty acids, 90% unsaturated ricinoleic acid. Now, how do we do a pain relief using pure castor oil that New Life has, which is organic, free of chemicals. I like the idea of taking pure castor oil for people with inflammatory pain internally, like in the colon. Like what we have, these IBS and IBD, or people with ulcers in the gut. They will realize how effective when they are able to take, like, say, 2 tablespoonfuls of castor oil on empty stomach before they take their herbal cleanse, which is a colon cleansing drink. And I love the idea that it's very soothing for anybody with intestinal troubles, like IBD, IBS, and ulcerated pain in the gut. For external remedy of pain relief, right, we actually use them in the form of castor oil as a heat pack or a cold pack for joint pain or any kind of a pain, like mentioned, tumor or backache or stomach cramp and tumor pain and all sorts. So it helps to prevent. The other uses of castor oil is that it helps to prevent the microbial growth, which is very antiviral, antibacterial. It helps to promote lymphatic drainage. So for people who are doing massage, to manage their pain, they might want to consider mixing castor oil and coconut oil as a massage oil rather than all other kind of chemical oil. But if the pain is very intense, then the other oil that you can put in is actually the New Life Wonder Oil, which I will give you the concoction in a short while. And I like the idea of this castor oil as a deep detoxification for colon in the form of gut cleansing, as well as liver detoxification in the form of castor oil enema, which I will not cover today, but I want to share with you how to use castor oil as a pain management in a short while. You can use it as a deep skin moisturizer for people with eczema, fungal infection, bacteria, itchy skin, like these skin diseases that bring as a result of too dry skin or allergies, right? This castor oil is very, very soothing on the skin for topical application as well. And it promotes hair growth, and if you want to have very healthy bushy hair, to prevent hair loss, you can also do a massage with castor oil before you do your shampooing. So there are a lot of uses through this natural castor oil. So for topical pain relief, I would suggest that you can take about, put in about 3 to 5 drops of the Wonder Oil, plus let's say 10 to 20 ml of the castor oil, make it into a concoction, rub it into the joint if the joint is having the inflammation. And for that matter, it's so effective for people with frozen shoulder or backache. And then you can actually apply the heat pack, which I will ask Susie to share with you in a short while, all right? Now, instead of reaching out to painkiller that you know by now that it can give you a lot of side effect, why not you consider always standby vitamin C complex, vitamin B complex, and niacin, which is vitamin B3, as a replacement for prescribed painkiller, minus all the side effect. Vitamin C, just take 2 tablets 3 times a day if the pain is very, very intense, and B complex is a pain relief for nerve, nerve calming purposes and to relieve the nerve pain. So most of the pain got to do with the nerves anyway, right? So you can take 1 tablet 2 to 3 times, and vitamin B3, which is called the niacin, can be taken half to 1 tablet 3 to 4 times a day. So I want to just give a precaution here. If anybody is having bleeding, open wound, or on Coumadin or kind of a steroids or different kind of steroids, then I think niacin should not be taken at the same time, because niacin will cause the flushing or the blood circulation to be accelerated. So you do not want to take anything that is already thinning or bleeding, thinning the blood or bleeding. So then they may cause more bleeding. But if you're not on these medications or not having any open wound internally or externally, or not having any heavy menstruation, then niacin will be one of these trio pain management in the world of natural healing and supplementation form to, I hope, potentially can replace your dependence on prescribed painkiller. There are 2 more videos that I'm going to show you. One is on the coffee enema, which is very, very anti-inflammatory as well. We are very well known for teaching people over the years how to do coffee enema for blood detoxification and liver detoxification. But one of the major relief that people can feel from the pain and inflammation is to do a coffee enema when the pain attacks come. So let me just play a video on coffee enema. And at the same time, right after the coffee enema, I will play the next video on how to use castor oil heat pack for topical pain management and relief.
What is coffee enema? The purpose of the coffee enema is to detoxify the liver and the blood. It has been used since the early 1900s as an effective method for detoxification and reducing inflammation in the body. Why is detoxification important? Each day, our body is exposed to toxins of all kinds, both from external sources and internal sources. Health experts estimate that over 90% of cancers and other chronic disease are due to poor diet and toxins in the body. The liver is responsible for cleansing toxins from the blood. However, over time, its ability is reduced, and often the liver is damaged or depleted from having to deal with the daily onslaught of toxins, causing these toxins to be retained in the body. How does it work? When the coffee enters the colon and is retained, it is transported from the colon to the liver by hepatic portal veins. The caffeine from the coffee causes a dilation of the bile ducts, which facilitates the elimination of the toxic breakdown products from the liver and the toxins from the blood out of the body through the colon. Theophylline and theobromine from the coffee also aid in the toxins elimination process by dilating the blood vessels and countering inflammation in the gut. The palmitates found in coffee stimulate the production of the master antioxidant glutathione S-transferase in the liver by up to 700%. This powerful antioxidant helps to neutralize free radicals that cause inflammation and cellular damage throughout the body. Free radical damage is one of the key causes of many chronic and degenerative diseases, such as premature aging, heart disease, and cancer. Finally, the fluid of the coffee enema in the colon stimulates the intestinal peristalsis and helps to transport all the eliminated toxins from the liver and the blood out through the rectum. As all the blood in the body passes through the liver about once every 3 minutes, the coffee enema is like a form of dialysis of the blood, cleansing the blood approximately 5 times within the 15 minutes that it is retained. To do the coffee enema, you will need an enema bucket or enema bag. Organic enema coffee, which comes in either powder or sachet form. Organic extra virgin coconut oil. An S-hook or hanger. Coffee preparation. Bring to boil 3 tablespoons of coffee powder or 1 coffee sachet in 2 to 4 cups of distilled water. Simmer for 15 minutes. Strain if using powder form. Administering the coffee enema. Check that the coffee solution is at body temperature. With the stop valve of the enema set closed, fill the enema bucket or bag with the coffee solution. Release the stop valve and allow the coffee to flow into the tube. Stop the valve once the tube is completely filled and check to ensure that there are no bubbles. Hang the bucket 2 to 3 feet above the body, such as on a doorknob, with the S-hook or hanger. Lubricate about 2 inches of the end of the tip generously with coconut oil. In a half squat position or laying on your back, insert the tube into your rectum just past the second hole found on the tube. Relax while you do this. Lie on your right side. Release the stop valve. This will allow the coffee to flow gently into your colon. Once the bucket is empty, Close the stop valve and pull out the tube. Retain the coffee for 12 to 15 minutes while laying on your right side. When the 15 minutes is up, or when you feel like you are unable to retain any longer, go to the toilet and release the coffee. Selecting the right coffee. Selecting the right coffee to use is very important. Coffee must be lightly roasted and organically grown. Espresso, instant, and decaffeinated coffees should not be used. The coffee should be fine to medium ground. New Life's organic enema coffee is grown on their own plantation located in the semi-wild surroundings of the Borneo rainforests. The plantation is certified organic by the Malaysian Ministry of Agriculture. Unlike gourmet coffee, New Life organic enema coffee is specially processed and lightly roasted to retain its optimum antioxidant and detoxification properties.
Castor oil. It's rich in ricinoleic acid, which is great for skin and whole body detoxification. To prepare a castor oil pack, prepare castor oil, an airtight container, and a flannel cloth that has been cut to your desired size. It's best to use a white wool or cotton flannel cloth for this. Fold the cloth in two halves and pour the castor oil in the center, away from the edges. It's now ready to be used. After each use, fold it neatly and store it back in your airtight container. Because castor oil is a wonderful detoxifying oil, it is great for growth, cysts, and fibroids. Place the castor oil cloth on the required area. Wrap the cloth firmly using cling film. Place a heat pack to expedite the absorption process. You may use a towel in between to avoid getting burned. Castor oil is a wonderful tool to alleviate pain and administer first aid. To administer cold compress, place the castor oil cloth on the desired area and use the cling film to secure the cloth in place. Instead of using a hot pack, you may use a cold pack from the freezer. You may administer cold compress for no longer than 20 minutes and hot compress for no longer than 1 hour. Remember to store your castor oil cloth in an airtight container and it's ready for your next use.
Well, I hope you have a good glimpse of the purpose of doing coffee enema, which is very, very healing in that sense, because coffee enema, the purpose of it is to detoxify the blood and the liver, and it's extremely anti-inflammatory. So for that reason, anybody with any kind of a pain or inflammatory condition, I think coffee enema will be a very, very good remedy incorporated in within a very good nutritional guide that we can provide for you. So you might want to check out on this and keep in touch with us. Well, you have also watched the video on how to do the topical application of using castor oil heat pack. It depends on the pain. If the pain is doesn't come with a swelling, then just doing a heat pack will do. But if the pain has also come with some swelling, then a hot pack followed by a cold pack will be very effective to kind of settle down the swelling. And always end with a cold pack if the swelling comes, okay? So I hope this is something that you find functional and effective for your pain management.